your deep knowledge. We have a great admiration for your agency's work in ferreting out misconduct and finding ways to save billions of dollars with your recommendations to improve federal agency operations. We especially appreciate your neutral independence in facing difficult budget questions. I'm afraid in our current situation with flat budget caps, it will be hard to accommodate your healthy request, but we will do our best. I want to quickly move to any remarks from Ms. Herrera-Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Welcome back. GAO's scope of work includes evaluations of federal programs and performance, financial and management audits, policy analyses, legal decisions, bid protest adjudications, and investigations. And the list goes on. We rely on your work, your nonpartisan work, and the thoroughness with which you do it to really help shape policy here for the American people. So it is incredibly important what you and your team do, and I look forward to hearing your testimony. Thank you.
Mr. Tadaro.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Herrera-Butler, Congressman Newhouse. It's very nice to be back here again today. First, I want to thank the subcommittee for your support of GAO over the past several years. Based on your support, last year we had a record number of financial benefits for the government. It was over $214 billion, which is $338 for every dollar you've given us. So we believe we're a sound investment, continue to improve. In fact, in 7 of the last 8 years, we've produced over 100-to-1 return on our investment. In addition to the financial benefits that we bring to government, there are a wide range of other benefits. In the last year alone, there was over 1,400. These are things like leading Congress to create a program to help deal with lead in drinking water in our schools and to help promote better suicide prevention efforts at the Veterans Administration, to help ensure that they have better credentialing so they don't have disqualified doctors providing health care to our veterans. Leading Congress to create a requirement for DOE to work with the private sector and others to create a national strategy for protecting our electricity grid. Leading better tools and techniques for asylum officers to review applications to screen for fraud. And I could go on and on across the federal government's activities. Now, our request for next fiscal year would be enough money to fund GAO at 3,250 full-time equivalent positions, which I believe, and I've been consistent in this over many years that I've been Comptroller General, is the proper size for the GAO. This would be an increase of only 50 staff years from the level that we have this year. Most of that money would go to increasing our work in our new science, technology, assessments, and analytics team. This is the team we talked about last year that we created in response to requests from Congress for more scientific and technical assistance. We've worked with your support over the last year to, in effect, by the end of this year, we'll have doubled the size of that team. So we're able to deal with a wide range of issues across the Congress, including, as Congressman Newhouse knows, the hazardous waste materials at the Hanford nuclear site, our whole efforts to refurbish the nuclear arsenal that we have, a lot of efforts at DOD in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and sophisticated weapon systems and things. And so it's a wide range of issues, including right now we're doing infectious disease modeling issues, and so it's healthcare and everything across the board. Part of the money would also go to increase the number of attorneys we have in our fiscal law, appropriations law group. We are being inundated with an unprecedented number of requests for legal decisions and interpretations, technical assistance, and others dealing with the Empowerment Act, the shutdown last year for 35 days, and the exceptions that some people took to try to say it was an exception under the law. Some we've agreed with, many we haven't agreed with, so we're doing decisions there. And we get requests from fiscal officers in the executive branch agencies, in addition to the Congress, on appropriation law questions. So we need more attorneys. We've increased the number of attorneys that we've had. We're making some internal distribution of our resources, but we can use some additional attorneys to be timely in responding to the Congress. The request would also allow us to continue to have the information technology resources to upgrade our decades-old system. The document management system we have for keeping the documents for our audits is over 30 years old. The GAO building's 69 years old. It was built the same year I was born. But fortunately for us, there are more parts for the GAO building than there are for me. but we need money to be able to refurbish it. And the outside of the building's deteriorating. It's limestone. I mean, I could go on if you have more questions about that, but it would allow us to be more energy efficient and other matters as well. So I very much appreciate, as always, your careful consideration of our request. I thank you again for your support, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
I appreciate it. So let me jump right in. You mentioned the impoundment issues. We've got a significant legislative executive balance of power issue. And I was troubled to learn that the OMB had declared that GAO findings on the issue, such as the anti-deficiencies and impoundment, cannot bind the executive branch. And that goes against a long historical record of executive branch action when either party is in power. So can you share with us the steps you're taking to push back on this misguided OMB directive?
Yes, and our General Counsel, Tom Armstrong, who's here with me today, sent out a memo to all the executive departments and agencies saying basically we disagreed with OMB's view on that matter. While they aren't binding by law, they have been by practice, same as our bid protest decisions on contracting matters. But we said, look, if you're not going to report them as anti-deficiency violations or report them to the Congress, we will. So, we've tried to, carry out our responsibilities for the Congress. Under the Impoundment Control Act, we're the congressman's policeman to make sure that the administration follows the Budget Impoundment Act, including going to court to release funds that may not be released. And we're prepared to do that if necessary. So we've pushed back quite a bit. We will stand firm in our obligation to the Congress to ensure that its prerogatives of the power of the purse are protected, and we will continue to report to the Congress all matters that we find are not in compliance with appropriation law and other matters. Now, one of the things that the committee could do to help us is we're having trouble getting timely response from the executive branch when we ask for their legal analysis as to why they think what they did was consistent with the law. Now, last year, as a result of problems we had with the Interior Department, Congress put a provision in the appropriation law that said that Interior has to respond to our request within 45 days. But that's only the Interior Department. We're having problems with other agencies across the government, so I would ask that you consider that. We're working with the Budget and Appropriation Committees and others. I think there are things that Congress could do to strengthen our role in this process and thereby strengthen the Congress's enforcement powers to make sure that all decisions made by the Congress are faithfully executed by the executive branch. And we're happy to take on additional responsibilities.
What are those other recommendations?
Well, some of the recommendations would be that they would have to, let me ask my General Counsel to come up if it might.
Just pull a chair up there, too, if you want.
There we go. Good afternoon. I'm Tom Armstrong, General Counsel. We have a number of ideas in mind for strengthening your role in exercising your power of the purse, as well as our role in supporting your exercise of the power of the purse. Gene mentioned, the Comptroller General mentioned one, and that is requiring agencies to be more responsive to us. There are some other things that we would propose, including adding some discipline for violations of other appropriations provisions, not just the Anti-Deficiency Act. The Anti-Deficiency Act provides for discipline for federal employees who violate that act. But we also have the purpose statute, we have the bona fide needs statute, we have other statutes for which there is no discipline. And that's something else that we propose that you legislate so that it gets attention, and to make sure that our decisions do get attention in the executive branch. You know, we were troubled too by what OMB did last summer and last fall in the memo that the OMB General Counsel sent to Executive General Counsel saying that they can disregard our decisions. And we're fighting back at that in order to advance your prerogatives of the purse. That's what our role is in this area of law.
The other thing that I've suggested, and I've suggested this in the past, but it hasn't been able to be legislated, is our authorities basically allow us access to records at the departments and agencies, not to individual agency officials to compel testimony. And I'd like to be able, in rare circumstances, in the fiscal law area would be a very important part of this, is to be able to compel testimony from executive branch officials, and even under oath if necessary, in order to really find out exactly what was done and why. You know, the records will tell us in a lot of cases what was done and the timing, but it won't necessarily give us the full picture of what the intent was over the action. So there's a number of things. We have a list that we've provided to the Budget and Appropriation Committees. We're happy to provide it to this committee as well.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Yeah, we will send it to you.
I've been here 18 years, and I've watched, you know, obviously this goes back well before I ever got to Congress, but the executive branch continuing to assume power on a variety of different issues, not just war and peace. And what we've seen over the last, you know, year or two, I think, continues down this road. So I'm very, very interested in you know, having you connect with our team and talking through with the staff as to what the best next steps are for us to reclaim some of our congressional power. And the people govern this country, and the Congress governs, and a lot of this stuff starts in the House of Representatives, especially when it comes to spending. So I'm going to spare you my 20-minute diatribe on this issue, but I think I've communicated how I feel about it, and we want to make sure that we have some substance behind what we try to do this year.
I share your concern, and I'll save you my 20-minute talk.
Well, we'll go out for a drink and have a therapy session with each other on this. But I appreciate it, and we will get something done on this, Ms. Herrera-Butler.
Thank you, and I know they've called votes, so we don't have a lot of time. I am curious about that line of questioning, however, because you know, you mentioned that there's discipline built into the Anti-Deficiency Act, but you're telling me the Anti-Deficiency Act is being disregarded. So I don't know if adding discipline, quote unquote, there are statutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, good. No, there are civil and criminal penalties actually for the Anti-Deficiency Act violations, although nobody's ever been prosecuted. But what's changed is that typically OMB and the agencies would respect our decisions and honor our decisions. Under the current administration, that's changed. They're telling the agencies that they don't have to, you know, follow our direction unless the agencies and OMB agree with it. Now, we disagree with that based on past practice and our...
So essentially, there's not going to be a resolve if, I mean, in my mind, this is going to get escalated. Someone's going to have to enforce at some point.
Right.
I mean, we essentially have the authority to enforce subpoenas, and we haven't necessarily done that. So I don't know if giving you that at this point is going to get us there, right?
Well, it would give...
In theory, but in practice and what we're seeing.
In theory, it would.
Yeah.
In practice, the real way that Congress can enforce this in the most effective way is through the appropriation decisions. I mean, you can, if there's an anti-deficiency violation, you can deal with it in the subsequent year appropriation bill by forcing them to correct the decision. I mean, Congress has the ultimate authority.
I mean, and generally, I favor us keeping that authority, right? I mean,
oh yeah, we're not saying you give up give it to us, but you still have it.
I just think it's more effectively used if we're.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
Right.
Okay, so I know we're voting. I did want to ask about, quick question on the 314 to 1 is what you were talking about, your dollar saved. Are those figures based on actual savings or savings that could be achieved if we followed every one of the GAO?
No, they're based upon actual
dollars.
actual savings.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I'll yield back because I know we have one more.
Congressman Case.
It's okay.
Thank you. How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. Last year, we had a discussion about your science technology assessment and analytics efforts, and you emphasized the importance of that. And as I recall, you had some concerns over whether you had the capability to actually attract a good, solid team given competition in the private sector. And I just wanted a quick gut check on that. How's it going?
It's going very well. This year we've last year we hired 26 people to that group. We're planning to hire another 20 this year. We've added people in life sciences, aerospace engineers, chemists, biologists, a whole wide range of skills. We hired our first chief data scientist from the private sector. So we're doing real well.
So you're able to compete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, we have a great mission, and we have access to data that nobody else has, and so it's a draw for people and that want to provide public service. We create a good work-life balance at GAO, but the problems we are working on are just incredibly attractive to people.
Okay, thank you. That's good news. And then the other thing that we talked about last year was, I think you made the comment that your work with the intelligence community didn't quite run as smoothly as your oversight work with some of the other parts of the government. And you noted that when it came to intelligence committee requests, or generated requests, I should say, the community was responsive, but not for non-intelligence committee requests. And is that still the case? And if so, what should we be doing to have greater responsivity to your needs for us to oversee the intelligence community?
And if you excuse me,
sure.
if you could give a brief answer, if you could. And sorry, Congressman Case, because we have a vote coming up, and Mr. Newhouse has one quick question.
Sure.
So feel free to answer Congressman Case's question.
Sure. Basically, it's the same status as it was last year. Congress could work with the intelligence committees to provide better direction to the intelligence agencies to cooperate with us.
Okay, well, we would welcome the specifics about how to do that. I would, at least, because I think that that community does need the same oversight as everybody else.
I'll provide it to you.
And we'll submit a question for the record.
Sure.
And you can have that, Mr. Newhouse.
Thank you,
Minute
Mr.
drill
Chairman.
here, buddy. Make it quick.
Do it quick.
No timeouts left.
I can do it in one breath.
All right.
You talked about the science, technology, assessment, analytics, and then that was the essence of what I was curious about. I'm on the modernization committee as well, and we've talked about resurrecting the, I think it's called the Office of Technology Assessment, or it used to be called that. So what do we need to know about what you're doing? What should we be aware of if we go forward with that effort?
Right. Basically, we are performing all the same functions that office did.
So it'd be duplication.
It could be, however, I would add this one caveat. I think the needs are so great for science technology assistance in the Congress. The position I've taken is that Congress needs more additional resources in this area. Now, the National Academy of Public Administration did a study based upon Congress's request and recommended that rather than that office be recreated, GAO be expanded, but there be a small office created in the Congress to help Congress absorb the science and technology information that was coming from GAO, the national academies, and others. And so I think that would be a good idea as well. But we're building the capacity to give as much support to the Congress as we can with the resources that you all provide us. And that's why last year I provided a plan that came up in March that said we need 140 people in the Science Technology Assessment Group. By the end of this year, we'll be at 100, all right? And so we need the additional 40, and that's therefore our request for next year. I appreciate the situation that you're in every year. I audit the federal government's financial statements. I know what kind of position we're in and the debt and deficit issues, and I have longer than 20 minutes on that one. But But we need your help. You know, we provide a good return on our investment, but if Congress is going to need, you know, science and tech is so ubiquitous now to almost everything that's being done. If you need to help us help you better. And so I would ask you to seriously consider our request.
Well, we appreciate you, appreciate your team. I know a lot of them aren't here, but please give our regards to everybody who does all of the great work, and we rely on you tremendously, and especially in the last year. We wish we could give you a little hazard pay, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. But again, we're in a tight budget, as you said. We're going to do the best we can for you, but whatever we give you is does not signal nearly the level of appreciation that we have for all the work that you do. So we're very, very thankful, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Hearing is
Chairman.
adjourned.